So immigration, right? I mean, everybody knows it can be, well, kind of a mess.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of strong feelings involved in this one.
Absolutely, tons of emotion and legalities all wrapped up together. We are diving into the K-1 visa today.
Oh, interesting.
Yes, so that's the one where, fiancés can come to the U.S. to get married.
Right, right.
And, a lot of you have been asking about this. There's this whole idea about fraud with K-1 visas
Well,
and this, like, domestic loophole that people are talking about. And apparently there are these claims that men are ending up in jail because of it.
wow.
Yeah, so we're going to unpack all of that today and kind of try to see, like, how much of this lines up with, how things actually work legally.
Yeah, it's definitely an area where the legal side and people's personal experiences can really clash.
Yeah, for sure. So basically what our source is telling us is that some women might be kind of gaming the system, right? Like
Right.
they're claiming abuse,
Mhm.
maybe even just minor stuff. And they're using that to, like, get ahead in the whole immigration process.
I see.
And then the really scary part is they're saying this is causing American men to be put in jail, even though they didn't
Yeah.
actually do anything wrong.
Yeah, no, that's a very serious accusation to make. I mean, to really understand if that's even possible, we have to look at like the whole process for these K-1 visas.
Right.
I mean, there are a ton of checks in place. They do background checks, there are interviews, a mountain of paperwork.
What's
Really,
that paperwork?
it's all meant to make sure the relationship is the real deal and that both people are protected.
Okay, so it sounds pretty thorough.
Yeah.
But this source is saying there are, like, cracks in that system, right? They even use this phrase, mass amounts of men being jailed because of this so-called loophole.
Mass amounts. Wow.
Yeah. So if the vetting process is as good as you say, how could that even be happening?
Well, even if you think of like a really secure bank, they still have weak points, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Someone who really wants to can probably find a way in. And with K-1 visas, so much depends on evidence.
Hmm.
So if someone makes up a story that sounds believable, they've got details, maybe even fake doctor's notes or police reports, it could be hard to figure out the truth.
Oh, wow. So, like, they could even get other people to lie for them or something?
Exactly, they could pressure people, and that makes things even harder to untangle.
That's kind of scary.
It is.
Like, what if you just got caught up in something like that and had no way to prove you're innocent?
Yeah, that's the fear, right? And those are the stories that make people really worried about this whole thing. But the thing is, proving that someone lied about abuse, that's really hard to do.
Oh, so it's not like, innocent until proven guilty in these cases.
Well, it should be, but in practice, it can be tough. The standard of proof is very high.
I see.
So you really need strong evidence to show that the accusations are false. Like, I had a case where a guy was accused of domestic violence, but his lawyer was really good, and they found all these problems with the woman's story. Like, the times things supposedly happened didn't add up, and there wasn't any physical evidence, like bruises or anything.
So they were able to prove he was innocent.
Yeah, eventually the charges were dropped, but it took a lot of time and effort.
Man, that's rough. Okay, so even though this source is saying there's this big loophole,
Mm-hmm.
you're saying it's not so simple.
Right. Yeah.
It's not like someone can just make a false accusation and boom, the American guy goes to jail.
Exactly. I mean, there's a whole system in place. There are investigators, lawyers, judges, and they're supposed to look at all the evidence before making a decision.
Okay, that makes sense.
But this idea of mass amounts of men being jailed, that's where it gets tricky because we don't really know how common this actually is.
How come?
Well, the data on K-1 visa fraud, it's usually lumped in with all kinds of immigration fraud.
Oh, I see.
And it's rare to find specific numbers on cases where someone's claiming abuse.
So we're just working with, like, anecdotes and stuff.
Pretty much, yeah. It's like looking for a needle in a haystack.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if anyone's even keeping track of this properly or if these cases are just, slipping through the cracks.
That's a good point, and it shows that we need more transparency. Like we need better data collection so we can go beyond just individual stories and see the bigger picture.
So what's the takeaway here? I mean, we have this source saying there's this loophole, but it sounds like proving or disproving that is really complicated.
It is, yeah. This whole deep dive, what it shows us is that the K-1 visa process, like any legal system, it's got its good points and its bad points. It's trying to balance security with fairness.
Right.
The source raises some important questions, but to really understand what's going on, we need more data, more information about individual cases. This is just the beginning, a starting point. It's up to everyone to keep learning about this and form their own opinions.
So basically there's more to this story story than meets the eye and we need to keep digging, well, that's something to think about for sure. Thanks for breaking it all down for us.
No problem. Happy to help clarify.
And thanks to all of you for listening. We'll be back soon with another deep dive.
See you next time.
And who knows? Maybe we'll uncover even more layers to this whole K-1 visa situation.
Maybe we will. It's always changing, you know?
That's the truth.